Hello, everyone. Today on the Sonic Movie Show, we are talking about the layoffs across the video game industry, the Minecraft movie getting casting, his Hayden Christensen in Sonic 3, and more. My name is Ethan. With me here, as always, to talk about video game news, movie news, Sonic news, in a different order than I usually say it, is Devin.
It's that sound again? Someone said that, I guess,
Really?
in Sonic Forces. I don't know who, but I
Um,
don't know. I feel like it was kind of like
that's a game
layoffs,
that
it's that sound
Sure.
again.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game that gets like such a weird script because they were trying to be very serious, but also like you have a bunch of primary colored cartoon characters fighting, gritty steel brushed textured robots and being tortured on the moon. How you doing, Devin? It's been a while since we recorded. Anything
It's
happening?
true. No, I mean just trying to, you know, get through the work week.
Yeah,
Try not to get laid off.
yeah, I hear you.
Uh,
I hear you.
try and just do my thing. I mean, I can't believe it's already almost end of January though. That's kind of crazy. Like I feel like
Yeah.
the new year kind of just happened. I'm like, damn, we're already 1/12 almost through it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I
yeah,
said
yeah.
I was saying on my one stream the other day. I don't know if it would help me mentally with my I have really hard mental issues with like how quick time sometimes passes for me and like the stress it brings me. And I'm wondering if it would help me or make it worse if we collectively as a society decided to make the year into 3 months instead of 12.
Oh,
where we just make it the months longer and be like, oh, it's day 78 of January.
I feel like
wow,
that
we
could
still
work.
have
I feel like that would work
I still have
because, like,
200 something days left of the year, or whatever,
then
when
it's
it's like
then
1 through
all those,
30
like,
every time, it goes quick.
right. Well, there's all those like gimmick accounts that are like percentage of the way through the year, but like you can make three of the percentage of the way through, through 100 day one, whatever block of time you want to call that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a month, I guess. You know what I mean? The month is now 100 days. Now, I will say there's a problem with that, Devin. The scientific community would be like, wait a second, there's 65 other days that you just missed and a quarter, and now like the Earth's like balance in terms of being
Well,
able
if I
to
split
tell
it by
where it
3,
is,
if you split by 3, it's around 121.6 days. So you just 1 month has 3 days in it, extra days in it. However the math works out.
121 days in a month, 0.3. So we would have a leap year situation every 3 years?
Or it's
there's
0.6,
one
6666667. So but who
Oh,
cares? Just
God.
add an extra day, round up, make it
I mean,
122.
let's be
3
fair. Our
times. Who cares?
calendar was just made up by people in Roman times after their god kings. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like I said, half of the months are named after that, and it's like, and then like there are other cultures. I mean, this calendar is used all around, but like there are cultures that use their own special calendar. You know what I mean?
there's
where,
still
like,
the
their holidays could
Lunar
sometimes
New
be in a
Year
different
that's
month.
different.
You know what I mean?
I think
Let's
there's
just
some
blow up
countries
the
in
moon,
Africa.
Get the Earth tide locked. Fun fact. We both like Near Automata and Near Replicant. The Earth doesn't spin, and that's why there's no day-night cycle. Those people live in eternal sunlight, and on the other side of the world, it's always darkness. And I read
gotta
that.
hope. I feel like the sun
online.
is-
I'm like, what the hell?
I feel like you need the sun to be far enough away, but not too far. Because I feel like if the sun was constantly beating down on like people would the world would end. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it'd have to be just far enough. I'm sure there's a astrophysics reason why that wouldn't work. Like near wouldn't work. Of like, but
Yeah,
whatever.
I
but I'm
don't
like,
know.
But I'm like, I'm just thinking like, in their rules, I feel like skin cancer would have to be real bad. Like, you know what I mean? Because like there's that
Yeah.
much sun, there's no nighttime. Like it'd just be.
Well, because
Or
like
you
I
have to spend a
realized
lot of
it,
times indoors, I guess. Like there had to
but
be
they
like
have
a
the
curfew kind of
concept
system.
of days too. because it's wild because they go to sleep and all that. And I remember when I was platinuming Nier Replicant's PS4 remake last year, you lots of side quests and stuff like that. And as the young boy Nier, going to like the bar, and then one of the redhead sisters, is the bard, and she's playing, and she's drinking, and he's like, it's morning, and she's like, when the sun never sets, I don't really think that there's. I'm not really doing it justice, but like that made me think, like, wait a second, is this just like a gag as to why like a lot of games there's no day night cycle because it doesn't matter? And like, no, then I look online and like, yeah, no, it's like tide locked, like the Earth doesn't spin. It revolves around the sun, always facing. You know what I mean? And, like the moon,
Right.
like the moon does to us. The moon doesn't spin. Like it
Right.
spins at a rate that makes it always facing one side, always facing. That's why we have the dark side of the moon when you can never see it. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about, but before that, I just wanted to very quickly go over this thing I bought on Amazon. I'm scrolling through Twitter, and I see a semi-influencer person tweet out that they bought a 2-pack of this off of Amazon for $12. It is this Sonic Speed energy drink. It is made by a company called Boston America Corp. The thing came with a couple stickers, not of Sonic.
America.
It came with stickers of whatever their own like mascot or little toy robot thing is. It's like a toy company too. I don't know if this is going to be any good. And you might be asking, Devin, you might be asking, what flavor is this? I think I'll find out because Amazon said it could either be blue raspberry or strawberry. They just randomly pick which cans.
I mean,
are
yeah,
which.
if you're doing by like a color coded, like they're in terms of like American products, there's always a correlation. Blue means blue raspberry, like that shade of blue.
Yeah.
Honestly, Sonic blue.
Yeah.
And then if it's like pink like color, that's strawberry or strawberry cream or something like that.
Magenta would
cherry.
be raspberry. A deep red
Yeah.
would be cherry. Maybe even a dark red would be cherry as well. So I'm just gonna give this a sip,
cherry.
and we'll just see if this is any good.
Could it just be cola? Like, you know what I mean? Like, could it just be like a cola? You know what I mean? Taste. Does it say? It doesn't say on there what flavor it is.
It does not say on the can. No, I think this is blue raspberry.
So it's like a mystery.
I think the bubbles are blue. Oh no. No, this is not good. This is not good. It has
It's not a good blue raspberry.
This is a energy drink, and it has 39 grams of sugar. This is 78% of your daily sugar. And I drink like sugar-free sodas. So like, of course, I'm not used to it. But the liquid is blue. I can see on the top of the can. This is the blue raspberry.
Sonic's blue.
Now I don't know if the other one that I have is strawberry, or if it could also just be blue raspberry because it is just randomly 2 cans they throw together. But
see, now I'm curious.
Well,
like what is it too sugary? Is that the main issue?
It doesn't taste like
with it?
Okay, so you call it blue raspberry, right? That implies to me, and granted, I haven't drunk a Fanta or any of those types of sodas in a long time. But I remember those tasting more candy-like, being closer to like a grape flavored Jolly Rancher. It doesn't taste like grapes; it tastes like grape flavored candy. All of those types of sodas, I feel like, try to get to that. This tastes like very, very muted. It just tastes like a sugary energy drink that has an aftertaste of like
is
like
it
an
kind
aftertaste
of like more
of
like
it.
is it more of like a classic soda? I know, you know what I mean, like there's, you know what I mean, you ever gone to like a place like a diner where they do like classic like 50s 60s soda? You know how there's a difference between those two? Is it kind of like that maybe?
It probably maybe, I don't know. But man, 160 calories. 160 milligrams of sodium. There is 150% of your daily vitamin B12, so,
I feel like that's always the funny thing with energy drinks is they'll be like, it has your 3 multivitamins that you've never heard of. And I'm just like, yeah, but you're also doing like 300 milligrams of fucking caffeine that could stop your heart, maybe.
Exactly.
Levels of like, it's like, I mean, this, I've just finished this from yesterday, because to me, anything above a
Can you
medium,
hold it
which is
back
a
up on the
medium,
camera for a second?
it's Dutch Bros. They're a local like coffee chain here in
Okay.
Colorado and other parts of the West. We at least go here versus Starbucks, which is trash, and also we need a boycott anyways. But
Yeah.
Dutch Bros, I like their chai. It's a little bit sugary, but like a small is usually like the amount of caffeine I'm okay with for the day. Um, but I can't do coffee still. Coffee for whatever reason
I don't like the
has
taste.
I like the taste like a cappuccino or something or like anything like that. Which is kind of what this is, just chai and as its main ingredient instead of coffee. Um, it makes me have to pee like
Mm.
5 times within like an hour, and then I'm really jittery from the caffeine for whatever reason. Coffee just like wrecks me. Granted, I know it's one of those like acquired. The more you have it, the more you're used
I'm
to
a
it. But I'm also like,
caffeine
I don't
guy.
need
I
that.
drink this type of shit all day, every day, and like it doesn't really affect me anymore. So I don't think that this will like ruin me. Um, but
Right.
like I
I
don't know
mean,
if it's worth it.
the way you're describing it sounds more like a soda than an energy drink. But is it
They call
advertised
it
as a
it's a speed
speed?
energy drink.
So I guess it's gonna be maybe not a soda flavor, right? It's gonna have because I feel like energy drinks have weird aftertastes. Like Red Bull has a very distinct aftertaste to me.
Yeah.
I don't mind it, but like I also don't drink like a Red Bull maybe once a year. Maybe if I'm like traveling and I really need like just something to really keep me awake, I'll have a Red Bull or something to that effect or a Monster. I like the Monster rehabs. I know a friend of the show, David. He likes his monster. I almost said Monster Hunter rehab.
Now
Sounds like a
that
new spinoff. You're not hunting
Monster
monsters
Energy,
anymore. It's time to rehab. Monster Hunter rehab.
we would say that'd be an awesome collaboration, but Monster Energy Drink has sued other companies for having Monster in their title, including, I'm
It's
pretty
so
sure,
dumb.
Monster Hunter, because they feel like
Companies
that
are
is their
fucking
name.
dumb.
Well, it's just like Take-Two, who's the parent company
I was just
of
gonna mention that. Yeah.
Rockstar, as suing Remedy because Remedy's new logo has an R in it. It also has the name Remedy underneath that R. So I feel like that's not
Yeah, I
consumer
saw the logos and
confusion.
I thought I was missing something. I'm like, am I looking at the right logos? I'm like, what? What? Like, you might as
No,
well sue
it
every sports team,
yeah.
every other company that's used the letter R as its main thing. I'm like, that's so dumb.
So
It's like
the
the
best part
Ohio
is,
State
well, okay,
try to
it is
get
different
the
if you're because they're both
copyright.
video game companies. That's where consumer confusion can come from. That's what a trademark is supposed to be. But it is just one of those like we're too big for our britches. We think this represents us entirely. That's like the Monster Hunter M and Monster. They think it's them. You know what I mean? And no one else can use Monster for anything. It's also just funny too that Remedy is making the remakes of Max Payne 1 and 2 as a single game, and those are owned by Rockstar, and it's a partnership. So like, but apparently that's just Take-Two doing it and not Rockstar themselves. So like, it's a confusion mess. I don't know, but anyway, there's lots of big messes so far in 2024. I know
We're off to a great
uh,
start, I think.
you and I often talk about video game news and the video game industry and the people who work on these games because, we talk about, Microsoft, please don't buy Sega, and there's all these purchases, but these companies are buying brands and they think brands make games, but it's the people that make games. Konami could be purchased and from someone that thinks that, I can get all my favorite old Castlevanias and Metal Gears, make new ones, but all those people are gone. So you're not getting the actual talent, and it's the talent that we're talking
I mean,
about today.
that's a good way of putting it is like brands, right? Like, I mean, I try not to look at this outside of, I mean, I have my favorite sports teams, go Ravens. But like, to me, at the end of the day, it's like, you're right. Cause like people who make, like, you can have a company that makes chairs, but if the one guy who's really good at making chairs and is under that brand or whatever, like, it's really that guy who's making the chair.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I think that's the best way to describe it is, looking at like carpentry, but it's just like, video games multiple people. So yeah, if you cut away 100 people out of, let's say, 150 people who made the original Metal Gear or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
that yeah,
Well,
it's
yeah,
not
like
the
I
same.
look at I'm a big Nintendo. Well, maybe not as big a Nintendo guy anymore. But like I'm a huge Metroid fan. That's my favorite Nintendo franchise. And when Metroid Dread came out a couple years ago, I was shocked at how happy I was. And it's not something I got from like the return of Metal Gear or Kingdom Hearts or anything like that. I was like shocked like how much it meant to me. And Metroid Prime is one of my favorite games of all time. That's made by Retro Studios. They're a company in Texas that Nintendo purchased while the GameCube was just about to come out because they wanted an American company to make Western games to help their reach, right? Retro Studios made Metroid Prime in 2002. A phenomenal video game, one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. It has there's a lot of clout there, and they made two more of those games, and then they also made Donkey Kong Country Returns on the Wii and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze on Wii
Which
U.
I think you said Metroid is one of the best games of all time. I think Tropical Freeze is arguably the best game of all time. Just period.
Really? Really? You should try playing it sometime. Big Donkey Kong fan over here refuses to pay for it. No, 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 no. It was like I think it was like after Metroid Prime 3, 2007 on the Wii, a lot of key people left. Like key people left. Some of them went to 343 to make Halo 4. People made their own company called Armature where they make, they're kind of a work for hire thing. But like there's still this like thing that Nintendo fans have that like Retro Studios is still like they could easily make, a game as groundbreaking or as, exciting as the original Metroid Prime today, but they don't realize it's not a brand that makes the game, it's all those people. And granted they've hired new people, I mean, I'm sure they've got really great people there now, but it's not the same people, you know what I mean? But we also live in an industry where it's like, yeah, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, I don't know if it's like 80 85% of the people that worked on that game also worked on the original Super Mario Brothers. Like the main
That's pretty
people,
crazy.
like it's the same people. So like you do see that quality, that's a lineage. But like, we're gonna talk about a bunch of layoffs and like, well, you lay off all these people, and it's like the games are going to be different. You know what I mean? We're going to be getting more cookie cutter, Call of Duties and Ubisoft titles that just follow a formula. Like you're given and it's like a recipe, for a cake, and it's like, all right, make this cake again. So
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
they'll give
know.
that to AI to make. They'll be like, here's
Oh
the recipe
yeah,
to make the
yeah.
next Super Mario game, and then
Well,
they'll make it
that's the
for
thing
you.
too. You're seeing. I wanted. I almost brought up because we have a big topic here, right? So we're going to talk about that for a second. But AI, yeah, is a big thing that is slowly attempting by these executives that don't make video games, don't make stories, movies, etc., to replace employees with a data set that scrapes their work off. That Foam Stars game, that Splatoon 2 like game by Square Enix, is PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 only. Apparently, there's no PC version either, which is crazy for a competitive shooter of any kind to not have. Two news stories, it's a PlayStation Plus game for the first month. It's just one of those games being offered. Cool, it'll get an install base. It's a good idea. But then also, there's a little bit of AI in there. Just a little bit of generative AI being used, they're and the way they phrase it, and we're going to be seeing this throughout this year, trying to see where they can get away with how much that they can use and how they want to phrase it. This was definitely like, hey, like this was made by a lot of talented artists and and people here, but we used just a little bit of AI. It's not as bad as you're thinking. It's just a little bit, and then moving on. If no one really gives a shit, it's a little bit more AI, and then all of a
A
sudden,
little bit more, right?
they're not
Right.
talking about it like hey, I know this sound, but like it's just a tool, you know what I mean? But
I think I saw. I think this is not video games, but I think still related. I think a good example of this at like its worst extreme, in my opinion, is I swear I saw something where like some Disney executives were looking at AI like animated movies
oh
to like
yeah,
for theaters. Like I mean like the
I think
next
it was
up or
a
whatever the fuck.
DreamWorks
Like
guy,
just
but still, yeah, you're right.
yeah, something to that equivalent, right? Like that level of like we're not talking about like a YouTube short, that they're putting the Disney Channel's put on their YouTube. I'm talking about like we want to put this in theaters, and if there's one company I'm scared that can get away with it is fucking Disney, because there's the Disney fan club out there, and who will go out of their way, like they'll see anything Disney, you know what I mean, no matter what it
Yeah,
is.
they have a dominant market
They're gonna
share.
take they're gonna take their kids to that over something else, because
Yeah,
I know we've talked about this on this show with like the Sonic movie. I think one of the reasons it did well in the box office is because it's a family friendly ish movie that that like if a family can only go to 3 movies a year, Sonic the movie is going to be one of them now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But Disney is always in that conversation, like, well, do you want to go see the new Mulan or whatever? Whatever's out that Disney has made that isn't MCU. You know what I mean? That like, hey, I'm going to take my kids to that. So that's my fear,
yeah,
is like,
yeah.
I'm
And
afraid of people not giving a shit enough about art in that regard, that they're just going to pull up and then in 10 years from now we wonder why like half the shit is just not even man-made. It's like, what's the point of even making art anymore? Like that's and I've had conversations with people who think I'm kind of a doomist with that shit. I just think, or there's a conversation that the government needs to get involved and put some laws around AI.
The protection of jobs is the angle that can convince them to do that.
But
For
it's
sure.
the only reason to help the capital markets, right? Like it's nothing to do with a integrity of like
Oh yeah,
what art. Government doesn't give a fuck about art. They only give a shit about profits and whatever. So to me, it's like that's the only hope, I guess, is that the government will be like, well, if the consumers don't come out. But I'm afraid of companies like Disney, who you're talking about brand affinity with like video games too. It's like the Nintendo people are going to get the Nintendo game no matter what. I see the same thing with like Disney, even maybe
yeah,
Universal to a degree. You know what I mean? Like people are going to pull up and they don't give a fuck how it's made. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Two
And it's
things.
MCU is still doing pretty well. I mean, it's
Well,
slightly going downhill, but I'm saying it
diminishing
still gets
returns are
bank
still
money.
returns for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no matter what the quality is.
Two little comments I have. First off, the government does care about art. There was that one time where the first lady ran out of the burning White House with the painting of George Washington. You know what I mean? She cared about art.
Right. About that art, yes.
Yeah. That's a self pride art, and that's not a for this. Yeah, no, no. But also, I think there is one um, uh, I'm also with you. I don't know if I would call myself the doomist. I don't think you call yourself a doomist. I don't think that's what you meant. What you said.
But I think it's how it comes across to people. Is
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
it
I'm
is
thinking
because
it's
it
end
is
of
a.
times.
We
like,
see so much where people get pull the fast one over and just thrown in the dirt, and then nothing happens because of it. And it's just fuck you. So yeah, no, it is going to go that way. But I will say, it won't go that far, and I'll tell you why. The people that push this from within these companies are executives. The people that support this are people that don't work in the industry. And generally there's also that wave of Web3 type of weirdos that every year there's a new thing. I'm waiting to see what 2024's new tech. This is going to be the future, guys, and then it disappears for a year. The new tech fad that convinces that Silicon Valley's elites are actually worthy of the throne that we apparently have given them. None of these people are creatives. They can't make anything. They see something and they say, I want that. They don't know how to make anything, let alone the reasons why that thing was made, beyond it's a cool thing. But if you gave them a blank piece of paper and say, make something original, they will riff off of everything that they already know. And I understand, oh, nothing's original, blah, blah, blah. But, like, you know what I mean? They will have Han Solo shoot first against Pikachu and Family Guy. You know what I mean? Like, it'll just be the shit that's already happened. So if we get to a point where there is no intervention, or we're not loud enough, I'd say video gamers are generally louder online than any other type of hobbyist type of entertainment consumer type of thing. So there is backlash to things. I mean, everyone's yelling at the Ubisoft executives that said gamers going to have to get used to not owning their video games because they want to push out, they want to make their subscription services more of a thing. They're going to have to get used to it. I guess I should get used to pirating your games. You know, that's a big response people have said, and that's making
I did
that's making them back
retweet
away
with Sonic
from that.
Movie Show basically that, you know, just like, well,
Yeah.
better get used to the pirate flag emoji.
Exactly. If you're not willing to sell it, I'm willing to take it. You know what I mean, for free. But you know, I don't think we're gonna get to the point where like we're gonna see all these layoffs that we're about to talk about really decimate the industry to a tenth. I think that's what decimate means, to reduce it. It's either reduce it to 10% or by 10%. One's not as bad as the other, and I'm pretty sure
Right.
it is down
But
to
when
a
you, but to me,
tenth, but
percentages are only as big as the numbers you're taking it from, right? Like if it's 10 people and you fire
10%
one
of us
person,
is like your arm, and we're still fine.
yeah, like, but like I just say like 10 people, right? And you fire one person, oh, we lost 10% of our staff. But if you're talking about
I'm
we
just
have a
talking
million
about
people on
overall
our,
in the entire
oh
industry.
yeah,
not,
I'm
you
just
know,
making sure,
but,
like, to the audience that like when we talk about that, like what you're saying, like the 10% back down to 10%, I think does is different in that regard.
But I don't think that like the video game. Well, we're going to talk about more than just video game industry, but just, you know, in the video game industry itself, like, I can't survive off of what these people think it's going to be anyway. It's just a big like hype thing that tech bro weirdos is middle class people that have enough disposable income to waste it on NFTs and crypto, but you know they're not financially stable enough to make that be a, oh fuck, whatever, like it ruins, that's like the really anxiety about it. So they need that thing to be successful. They need people to believe in crypto, believe in NFTs, believe in the metaverse, believe in generative AI. It's not really AI, it's a generative procedural software. The AI is an easy buzzword. That's why, you know, every company is trying to rebrand things that they've already done as now using AI, because, you know, Spotify was like the automated playlists that they make now they call AI driven. Like, no,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? But it's a buzz term. They need that buzz term to take them to the moon so that they actually, you know, either get their money back in whatever financial hole that they've dug themselves into, or really the ultimate goal of getting themselves a lot more money because they want to be Bill Gates and they're upset that they weren't there in the 70s when Steve Jobs and Wozniak made Apple and they didn't buy the stock, you know what I mean, at the time or whatever, right? So I think that I hope that the huge amount of layoffs that we're going to be talking about that have already happened in this year so far, most of these people will get jobs back in the industry as when this kind of fad ends and enough people kind of yell at these executives and publishers that just want to replace jobs. I don't know. That's my hope. We'll see.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I think for me, like, I see AI more of as to me, it's like a tool, and it's how the tool is used, right? Like, I think, yes, it is good if we can speed up certain processes. Like, let's say, I know AI has been talked about in the medical field, because that's where I currently work, being talked about, like, being able to go through massive sets of data so that we can see, like, how we can maybe cure cancer. Like, that, I think, yes, is good, and if that can save lives, being like, hey, if we can find the cure for this disease.
And that's no different than all the other technological advancements.
Right.
But like the difference is the stealing
when it comes to
aspect.
creative. Yeah, stealing aspect, or like to me it's also a automation or a productivity thing. I always go back to this. If we're doing the capitalist system, it's been shown in the last 40 years that productivity has continued to go up. There's literally graphs you can find of it going up, but like wages and benefits and all those things have gone down. Life expectancy has gone down. COVID didn't help. People are working longer and longer. They're trying to raise the retirement age in multiple Western countries, and that's because of tools like this. My fear is like the expectations change. It's like, oh, well, you can use AI to write the news article. You can use AI to make the graphics. You can use the AI. We don't need to hire a graphic designer. We can just do AI and have it done in 3 hours. We can just give 5 examples to the board of trustees
Well,
who doesn't know
actually,
jack shit
to what
about
you're saying,
how this shit is making. But that's what I'm saying.
to
Is
what
with
you're
that
saying,
is
that
that
that happened. We talk. I think you mentioned audio blocks earlier, or oh no, we did that before the episode. Stock photo and stock asset sites. Those like essentially made an automated way for you and I to, and companies in general, to get assets that we might need for some sort of video production thing. You used to hire photographers to take those photos, so there's a lot less
yeah,
because
yeah.
you could just go and buy the license or whatever for the one thing you need, as opposed to hire someone. You know what I mean? And the same thing, yeah,
But
we
even
could say
now, you
with
don't even
graphic
need that. You
design
just go for
and
free.
copy and
And
all that stuff.
I mean, there's been
I
logos that have come out that I've seen for companies like we just used AI, like fucking X, fucking Twitter,
Yeah.
used a generative logo. You know what I mean? Like, it's just to me, my main fear is yes, maybe there'll be changes and restrictions and whatever, but I'm afraid of like the long term, like for people like us who are more creatively driven, that it's just there's becoming less and less opportunities to actually be creative in your day job if there's things that are being that like painters are
that
becoming less
people,
and less
yeah.
thing. Why send my kid to art school be a painter when people are making AI bullshit? Companies only
And the
like don't
majority
care.
of people, yeah, are just like, oh, it's fine enough, it works. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's like why do that? You should actually just go to these jobs or
yeah,
whatever or
yeah,
do every office job. My thing is yeah, I think some jobs are going to change dramatically. My thing is some jobs are going to, especially communications, service industries and all that will change in different ways because of AI being able to either go through information whatever. But to me it just goes back to the expectations are going to change of like, well, now you be more productive. You should be able to go through this data quicker. You should be able to create this article quicker or whatever your job is because of AI. It's not going to
yeah.
apply to manual labor, but to me, it's like a virtual conveyor belt. The conveyor belt changed
Yeah.
how factories worked, and then
Yeah.
and a lot of people cut jobs because they're like, we only need 5 people to work the conveyor belt to make the cars, rather than 100 people to make the car. And now we can produce 10 more cars per hour. Hell yeah, and we're
Yeah.
only still pay them
And like
$15 an hour. Okay, cool. Like you know, what I mean, that's my fear. Is just
yeah.
this is
Well, that's the thing
technology's
too.
good, but it's how it's being used to just create more and more surplus
Yeah.
of things that we either don't need or just profit driven focus in a profit driven focus
Capitalism
world.
obviously is very much get the most out of the little, right? And trying to make things as efficiently as possible. That's also beyond, capitalism and economic models in general. The human psyche wants to be as efficient as possible. Like, let's just ignore the capitalism thing for a second there. Just generally being less efficient at what we're doing, like not choosing not to use a tool for the sake of whether it be pride or morals or anything that isn't like a material thing, we'll still feel like, yeah, but we could be more efficient. So there is like a hurdle as a society beyond capitalism too, of being like, okay, we're just going to like it's the thing again, video games, that line that goes around often. It's a bit of a meme, but it is true. Is I want games to have worse graphics, and to cost more money and be shorter and all this and that. It's like, yes, those are extremely less efficient and less better. Less better. What am I doing? You know what I mean? Than what we are used to. But like that is what's better for the industry. You know what I mean? I'm okay with Spider-Man 2 being a shorter game than Spider-Man 1 and taking less time. It costs more money to make, and that's the only issue about it that, that doesn't seem sustainable. But like, hey, I'm okay with a downgrade because there's a lot more at stake than, there's a lot more to benefit beyond it. I also will say, oh shit, I forgot what I was about to say. I think just generally, overall, my worry, again, you're talking about settling. We were talking about settling. You know what I mean? Like, oh well, we should just be able to do this because we're just used to it already. Um, Google sucks now, and you can't trust it. An article written by AI, we could just be used to like, how accurate is this? Well, it gets the gist of it. I'm fine with that. That settling of not being able to trust information and the internet. We already the past decade has been a misinformation, hellscape on online and just general in
Especially
Western
on
countries.
news
Yeah,
and
but just like
propaganda, of course.
the
Yeah.
idea that you could read an article and not have the expectation that it's accurate. I don't even talking about like trying to spin something like a propaganda piece, but like it could just get a number wrong and you would just
And then that's it. And
that's
that's
your
all it
media
takes.
literacy. A lot of people just don't have media literacy. They're not going to be like, oh, there was this there was this study. Oh, there was a study recently saying like, oh, whatever percentage it was over 50. Majority of workers want to go back to the office. And you read that like, oh, wow, I guess that's true. And then most people will not be like, who conducted the survey? Oh, it's this company who is an architect and construction for office buildings. Why would they want to do that study? If the
Right.
study didn't show what they wanted it to say, which is making sure that they still have business, would they publish the study? You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lack of media literacy because,
But even like you said,
don't have to care, but
the
still.
number. I think the AI was just pulling from like random spots to make a sentence that makes sense to us, right? But like you said, like you're talking about the numbers, right? With like let's say it says, let's talk about video game layoffs, like we're basically talking about right now, which is the number. Let's say they say that only 10 people got laid off last year, and it meant to say 100, like that. But like no one fact checked it, or like
Yeah.
we're not thinking of it, or like, oh, I guess it's real. I know in sports, I'm been following a lot of sports stuff. There's been a huge increase in AI generated articles just trying to get the story first to be like, Lamar Jackson signed his new deal. Here it is, and then it's just like, oh, actually these numbers are wrong because we just had an AI or someone quickly. We
It
gotta be
said
the
his
first one out there.
contract is for $3,000 for a multi-year thing. That doesn't make
Yeah, like
sense.
makes sense. Right,
they
right.
hit- they
But
hit
guess what
publish.
gets to the top? What gets to the top of Google, like you saying, is because who was there first,
Yeah.
who got the most clicks. Oh, since this guy said it first, he's going to get the most clicks. That's been an issue with sports journalism and on Twitter, is that a guy will say, "Hey, he signed the deal," and then like 2 hours go by. Actually, no, he didn't. Actually, he's going with this team instead, and like people
But
got
a
pissed
lot of
off.
people don't see that last part. They just see the first. It's like whenever, like Twitter has the community guidelines, community notes thing, and like a big tweet will go viral that's misinformation. And
Straight up.
hours later, after millions,
Maybe days later.
tens of millions of
Sometime-
people have seen the tweet, it gets corrected. Those people aren't seeing the correction because they saw the tweet, and the own algorithm for how Twitter works make sure you never see a tweet you've already seen again. Listen, I'm on Twitter a lot because the way my job is, I have a lot of downtime. And granted, I've been playing RuneScape on my phone too, so that's helping me not curb my social media addiction. Back to video games. That's the only way to cure things. So I was on Twitter a lot, and like, yeah, I'll see something, and like, I'll scroll forever. I'll scroll the following until it's up to date, and then I'll go to For You, because even though a lot of people hate it, like, it generally works out for me. There's a lot of people where I'm like, why am I reading this? And I keep scrolling by, like, I don't know who the fuck you are. I don't care what your opinion is. You know what I mean? Oh, it was liked by someone that I follow. Oh, that's why it's on here, whatever. But like, I'll see like hours later, I've scrolled, maybe not read, but scrolled through so many tweets, hundreds, thousands, maybe even in a single day, and I won't see the same thing twice. I never do. So the idea of misinformation being corrected, the people that saw it will never see it again. And they probably won't care to follow up and be like, wow. Because a lot
And
of
even
people
then,
just
there's
see something
been-
on local news and be like, that's just what it is. And then they're at the water cooler, they say, oh, I heard this happened. And then it could be true or not true.
Yeah. Or the thing is that now you have so much then people have taken that whole media literacy or lack of media literacy and taken it to another level of straight up anything that doesn't connect to my worldview is incorrect.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That like, oh, this happened down the street. It was because these group of people did it or whatever. And then they'll become, oh, actually, no, this happened. Well, that doesn't matter. It's probably lying. Like, I mean, like
And
just now,
yeah,
like it's good to be like critical of the media, but then it's also good to like actually like media literacy isn't just a everything the media says is wrong. It's more of like how are they spinning the information? How are
right.
they talking about the information?
Like
Obviously, we've seen this.
that study, I mentioned is like they
Yeah,
want it to do their interests. Also just like, talking about capitalism. It's hard to trust media, just as a blank statement, across the board, because it is so entwined with trying to make sure that they stay afloat in very trying times. I know Facebook basically lied to so many outlets saying that a pivot to video is the only way forward, which then tanked a lot of places because producing a video is that 5-minute video takes a lot more effort than
and yeah,
an X word article, X amount of words article. I can't say X on face value. You know what I mean? So that tanked a lot of people, and and everything is click driven, like it needs to be. It just needs to be because there's too much competition over information. There's a lot of misinformation. I mean, you Google like right now, because we're the Sonic movie show, right? Let's Google, we're not going to actually do this, but you at home right now, go on Google and search new Sonic characters coming to Sonic movie. And I guarantee you will find, pig slop articles that are mostly just a ramble of a couple paragraphs of nonsense to a tiny little blurb that says maybe Amy will be in it once because this one person thinks it would be good and he saw the movie, and that's just something like that's just a thing that exists when you Google anything related. There's so many of these
yeah.
content mill type of articles out there.
I mean, I've literally seen jobs posted when I was looking for jobs earlier last year, where it was like I was just looking at just random communication jobs. One of the jobs came up. It was like be a writer, and your thing is you're paid per story, but the expectation is to do 5 stories a week about. And it'll just be vague stuff like the entertainment industry, and it's just like. And like that's why you get this content cycle. Like people are just trying to get paid. Like, and I don't blame
Yeah.
them. Like, I get your money. You know what I mean? That's the only way we
Yeah.
survive in this planet, anyways, right now.
It's
So
not the
you know what I mean? Like, I
people
get it.
doing the jobs. It is the
the
executives, the production companies, the outlets, whatever. The men
the
with the money
expectations
that
and
want a bottom line. Yeah.
yeah. But I say I mean, we already been talking about the layoffs. Just more. I think this conversation's good. Too, to the context of what we're talking about here. So I think let's just go to like the numbers.
All
Hey,
right.
let's go into reading some articles.
Why don't you read off our first one for me?
Yeah. So this is first one I think we have was Wired, right?
Yep.
So mass layoffs are causing big problems in the video game industry. So this is posted on January 18th, so a couple days ago from this recording. So what they're saying is reporting is more than 1/3 of video game developers are impacted by layoffs in 2023. And a lot of it was actually GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference, did a survey of over 3,000 different developers from game studios, as quote large and small, and a lot of what their concerns are. One was AI. It's one of the big ones that popped up. So I'm glad we had that conversation. The other one was during COVID with the video game kind of boom because people were stuck inside it. And we were there. We were in that moment. There's people I knew who were like interested in PC gaming that I'm like, why? You never talk about gaming in general. Now you're interested in like buying a $1,000 minimum
Right.
thing and you're interested in it. That's cool. But like, hey, like, is this just going to be like kind of your fad thing? Like, I'm just, it's kind of expensive. You know what I mean? Just more of like, that was always my concern
Animal
with my
Crossing
friends
is the
like,
perfect example. A lot of people really got
yep,
into Animal Crossing, and then it was just a fad. It wasn't like they became like big Nintendo Switch gamers. They're like, oh,
right.
I heard my friend on Facebook it looks cute. I'll buy a Switch, whatever. I'm
I
stuck
mean,
at
role
home.
playing games like D&D kind of got
Yeah,
popular for sure. I know like we lived
we
that,
play
but
because
like,
of that.
but
Like,
a
I
lot of
don't think
people I
we
knew
would
would
have
like
because of
know.
that.
Yeah, a lot of people I know started getting into D&D or just role playing games in general. But yeah, video games had a big boom, and because of that big boom, a lot of companies I think bought into like, oh, now we need to hire more people. Just yay, great, more video game jobs. But a
They
lot
had a
of
lot of extra
folks.
capital, and then they ramped up, assuming it would stay forever.
Yeah, and that was one of the in the survey. They one concern was that the field grew too quickly during the COVID-19 pandemic, and this is like a miss of a rapid consolidation. And then also there's been unionizing efforts. I think that has something to do with it. That there's been that's been we've been covering that as well. Where as just in America as a whole has a lot of unions have started to pop up, or people are trying to unionize have popped up. And sometimes those companies also just try to lay people off to so like, yeah, let's cut half staff. We'll probably cut most of the heads off of the unions that are trying to break through. Um, so I think that's part of it as well. But and I or actually, yeah, what does it say here? 35% of developers were either laid off or had colleagues laid off at their companies, or of these layoffs, it was quality assurance workers who seem to have been the most impacted. 22% of quality assurance workers said they've been laid off in the last year, 2023. Only 7% of developers overall reported losing their jobs. I think that was interesting. I feel like when people hear these layoffs, they always think it's like just the people making the video games, or maybe some people are thinking, oh, it's the HR department, or it's the
Sure.
the custodians at the what I mean. People think it's that. I think sometimes. So I think that's interesting to read. Is that
Or
a lot
contract
of it's the
workers.
yeah
That used to be the thing back in like the PS3 generation and early PS4 with like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed specifically. Some of these Western major publishers would ramp up huge for their big game. Game comes out, they lay a bunch of people off because they don't need that many people anymore. And then they hire back up again. But it's usually always contract workers. But it's still a lot of people that you hired, just for a short amount of time, and
I
now
mean, I
you're
remember
saying
in the
bye-bye to.
2010s era, like of the video game podcasts I listened to, of people like who worked in the industry, they're like, they just knew going in, yeah, I'm probably gonna get laid off at the end of this. I'm like, that's just so crazy to me, like mentally. I don't know. I guess that's part of the contract, I guess, but it's just it's just so weird to like think about, like, yeah, in 3 years I might have to leave a city
It
to
just
go to
seems like
like
a
I have to
bad
leave,
business
I
model.
have to move or somewhere. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Yeah,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Because these
like
people, a good amount of these people have families. I know, like the stigma about the video game nerd is the lonely loser, but like no, adults make video games. But yeah, no, like it just seems like a bad business model to be like, hey, we don't need a lot of people, and then all of a sudden we do. You know what I mean? Like maybe the way you make this is not great. Maybe you should
yeah.
change some
I think it
things.
just for me, it's always had me appreciate the more smaller end, like no more than 100 people, like studios, and like yeah, they're not going to make the most beautiful Last of Us level like video game, but at the end of the day, they're making fun shit, and they usually keep their people around and
Yeah.
have good benefits for video game companies, which typically don't have good benefits or work life balance. But I thought that was interesting. But I wanted to. There's also that Kotaku article. I don't know if you have that one up, but it has a breakdown of 2024 so far. On there, I think one big one was as of recently. Where was it? Yeah,
Unity,
Thunderful. 20% of
Twitch.
staff, around 100 people, got cut. There was. I know Discord laid off 170 people. I didn't even know if Discord had that many people, to be honest with you. Um, but yeah, they
They were
cut off
another company
100.
that exploded big in the pandemic,
Yeah.
right?
Five
Because a lot of
Twitch had
people signed
500
up.
people, which is
Yeah.
35% of its total staff. I know that's not video game production, but Twitch is 100% like part of the video game industry. It's where most
Hmm.
of the if you
It's
take
also
away
an
just
Amazon
chatting,
company that can
that's
afford to just keep people on staff. So
yeah. This is just this year or 2024, just this month really. It's continuing to happen. There's Window Games, 35 people, Behavior Interactive, they even
there are
listed
names
small
we
ones here.
recognize and names we don't recognize, and that's kind of the
There's you talking
scary
about
part too.
Metaverse Worlds, Netmarble, 70 people. Like, okay, whatever you want to think about the metaverse, bad idea. But like, there's still people like whose livelihoods are on the line. You know what I mean? That you
An
know,
NC Soft company, they're a gigantic conglomeration, and like they're laying people off. It's just yeah, no, like this is scary because this is a significant amount of people to be laid off in 20 days. In
yeah.
20
I
days,
mean, it
right?
says here as of January 19th, so 2 days
19
ago,
days.
Friday. 19 days, at least 3,347 people have been or will be laid off this year, and that's just 2024.
Yeah, and we crossed the halfway point for you last year.
And
Now,
and like I said in the other article,
ugh,
6,500 jobs were cut in 2023, and the fact that they've doubled that or half that now in 19 days
mhm.
is insane. Because yeah, we talked about too, like, oh, hopefully these people land on their feet somewhere else, but it's like that's some of these
But
people. That's
where?
it for their video game. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just saying some of this is it for their video game career.
Also, too, like let's
They
say
might have to get into other jobs they didn't want to think about doing, but that's what they're doing. Because
let's pick someone here that's making a video game.
I mean, Netrosoft's made Guild Wars. I don't know if they're making anything. Let's see.
Problem is, there's a lot of names that I am not completely familiar with to be able to like, oh, they're working on this game. But let's just say for example, you're working at Ubisoft, right? And you're working on the revival of Splinter Cell. It has not been announced, right? And you've been working on this project for 2 years, and you get laid off. The way this industry works with NDAs and the secrecy of it, you can't put on your resume that you spent 2 years working on that game. You could say that you worked at Ubisoft, whatever studio, but you can't say what you did. You can't say what art that you've made as an artist that's in the game, concept or otherwise, is something that you made because you got laid off. If you got laid off after the game came out, yeah, you can be like, hey, that's me. But let's say you got laid off and the game then eventually comes out. A lot of these companies won't even credit you because you didn't see the project all the way to the end. That happens.
You didn't you didn't get to the finish line, even though you had no choice.
We love The Witcher and Cyberpunk. CD Projekt Red is the company that made those games, and they were very much when Cyberpunk 2077 had it said it's justifiable. Hey, what the fuck is going on? News cycle in 2020. I know retroactively we're like, oh, people were too mean. We got to remember this company itself, a lot of bad publicity about how this company operates came to light, including the fact that, yeah, people that spent years on the game that left because of dissatisfaction with the way the company was working were not credited. And they spent years working on the game. You know what I mean? You can't put that on your resume. You can't put that on your resume that you worked 2 years on a Splinter Cell game because you got laid off.
And I'm sure you signed an NDA.
110%. Absolutely. That's just how it
110%.
works. So like all these people,
I know people who've had to sign NDAs at other companies, not video game, but just like because their roles were changing, or they're told, hey, either take this role, which is usually $5 an hour less that you're getting, and they can't say anything about it because they signed an NDA, which is to me is just so malicious.
Yep.
For like why'd you leave this company? Oh, well, I had to because or it's like now anyone going in doesn't know about it.
I actually think
it doesn't get out.
God,
you know what I mean?
just realized. I'm sorry. I just realized my tongue is fucking turning blue.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
God, I'm embarrassed. I think that's been being challenged in courts. What you're saying. I think that's being challenged because I remember reading this was a couple of years ago. It was something that was similar to that, and it was like they can't actually do that. But I don't know. The way the world works, I doubt that anything good happens in justice terms.
I want to say there's a good example I just found here on this list is Behavior Interactive, which develops Dead by Daylight, which literally is putting stuff out all the time. Every 4 months, I feel like they get a cool new character. I haven't played the game, but from what I've seen, it seems cool, and people like the game. It has a decent following. That they just laid off 45 people, and how they posted it was these departures represent less than 3% of our total workforce. It's like, oh, it's not that many people. When you see this goes back to the percentages thing. 3%
trying to be like our operations are going to be fine. Don't worry.
But it's 45 people. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
For especially for the they're like, yeah, it's only 3%. Okay, but still 45 people. And they are putting out stuff because they need people to work. Come on, I don't know, but they said it's because of this, it's because the money they want to get at the end of the year isn't equaling out to what they want, so they have to start cutting some people off because they need to make sure their executives get their $5 million that they were promised or whatever. I can't get 4.5 million. I need my 5 million. So
Bobby
you better cut those
yearly
people.
salary at Activision was enough to fund thousands of employees. It's literally like that. Like, hey, you laid off X amount of people, all their salaries combined, less than a year of Bobby Kotick. And what does he do?
Yeah.
Make more Call of Duty and make it yearly. That's all he does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to. I'll say
Or
this too.
did,
I worked
rather.
at IKEA, and
I bet you
one of
look
the
like
reasons
the lady in this photo, very upset.
I'm very upset. It was a decent job, had great benefits, like so much PTO. I could take off a day, once a day, or one day a month, every month, and I still would accrue time. Great, cool. One of the reasons I left was because money. Because I was the cost of living in where I lived in Maryland started to get more and more expensive, and my pay was getting less and less because of whether it was health insurance premiums were changing or taxes were changing, whatever it was, but they weren't giving me more than 2%. Actually, during COVID, this was a big thing that I brought up was, hey, how are we getting, like normally at face value, and this is most companies in like office jobs and whatever, blue collar jobs, or white collar jobs, sorry, is you usually get like a 3% raise, right? If you meet expectations. If you exceed, which is you never exceed,
Of
or
course.
they have a rule unwritten somewhere for managers that they're only allowed to give one exceeds to one
Right, right,
person
right,
in your
right.
team. No matter what, if everyone else succeeds on the team, only one person can get it, which is a 4%. I remember everyone was getting threes or was told they're going to get threes, but then IKEA came out and said, "Hey, no, actually, because of COVID, this is 2020, late 2020, because of COVID, we have to knock everyone's percentage down by one, you know." And it's just like, okay, so what? I get 2%, which in my math I was around 24 cents, and I'm like, cool. I'm glad we're. And then I looked up what their net profit was. IKEA made more in 2020 than they did in 2020 in net profit. I'm talking 5 billion euros, folks. Like billion. I'm like, really? You couldn't afford that 1% difference of 30 cents versus 25 cents or whatever, how it broke down for everyone at work. You couldn't, you know, they wound up
It's an
giving people
excuse.
bonuses,
It's an
but
excuse,
yeah,
right?
it's an
It's there.
excuse. Yeah,
It's an
but that's what this
opportunistic
is. And I wanted to bring it up
approach.
from a personal standpoint because this is like a next level of that. Hey, we're laying you off because we can't afford your $75,000 salary or whatever it is. And sometimes it's not even that; it's 50,000 because some of these people probably aren't getting paid well, in my opinion. Hey, okay, it's
Yeah.
50,000. We can't afford that. But hey, CEO, you're going to get that bonus that we promised you last year because you worked really hard this year. Uh, we did hit our sales numbers. Actually, we did sell 5 million copies like we wanted to, but it's because of you and not because of the 10,000 people who,
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
5,000 people we cut. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted to show as a personal example. I'm sure if people who haven't experienced this, I'm sure someone in your family has at some point in their lives experienced this, or maybe you're experiencing it now. It just goes to show that like it's just layoffs. I think are the end. Like that's like the worst possible to a degree. I
It should
think
be a
to me, it's
last
like
resort if you're a financially stable
supposedly
company,
stable company.
that
Yeah,
has a business like and this we're speaking as people that live in America that are used to American culture and American business culture around us. That doesn't really happen in maybe some Eastern countries. And I'm not going to be one of those, Eastern philosophy and this and that as a white guy that doesn't actually know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go that far. I just know that there are Japanese, just talking about video games again, Japanese video game companies that don't really like lay off, but they also don't hire like crazy either. They know exactly what they need and they kind of keep that's what like Nintendo is kind of semi famous for. That and only ever hiring fresh college grads so they can teach them the Nintendo way and they don't really want outsiders that come in with their own interpretation of how to make games. They want fresh kids, fresh programming talent and artists and all that. But they also don't hire like crazy, and they also don't lay people off. You know what I mean? In this type of instance, but
yeah. I wanted
it's
to,
just a very shitty situation.
yeah, I wanted to bring up too that and I know we're a video game slash movie kind of show, but if you're thinking that this is just happening like in a bubble that the video game industry is responding, because they mentioned here some people think it's part of 2019, or 2020 with the COVID-19 pandemic. I totally agree with that. But I think also part of it is this is just not just a video game industry. This is like the tech industry, media industry, and finance and retail industries as well. Business Insider here. I don't know if
Yep.
you have that one on screen. Okay. I'm just going to quote it directly. A slew of companies across the tech, media, finance, and retail industries, like I just said, made significant cuts to staff in 2023. Major tech players like Google and Meta, finance giants like Goldman Sachs, and manufacturers like Dow all announced layoffs. Then one cool, I wouldn't say cool, I guess one interesting part of this, and I know we're talking about surveys and pushing maybe certain narratives, so I guess just I'm going to read what it says, and I guess you can come with your own conclusion. Resume Builder talked to 900 leaders at organizations with more than 10 employees. I feel like it's a little less, a little not that many employees. So I kind of don't take full value of this, but I still think it's important to listen to what workers have to say, because at the end of the day, they're the ones doing the job. Uh, Especially leaders, I guess, of smaller ones, I think is good to know. But so I kind of take this at face value, but also I'm kind of like, eh. But they said half of them cited a concern about a recession, about reasons why they're looking at cutting employees or have cut employees. Then 4 in 10 have said they conducted layoffs to replace workers with AI. It goes back to circling back to the top of our conversation here and kind of breaking that down and our opinions on it. And people, feel free to, if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to drop a comment what your thoughts are. Curious what people's thoughts are about it. But yeah, 4 in 10 have said that they are committing to replacing whatever types of jobs they can with AI, whether it's creative maybe, or like I said, data analyzing, or maybe anything that they can automate. To me, I think it's always, with these kind of things, it's a lot of it's going to be like data, or anyone who's crunching numbers, maybe more administrative kind of roles, right? Hey, we'll have AI maybe set up weekly meetings, or we'll have, they'll make my schedule or whatever. I don't know. I just think, to me, this is just showing not just the video game industry, but it's, America as a whole and other countries, because we're a global market. If America has a recession, the other countries will have a recession as well. I remember during 2008, Greece literally collapsed, and other parts of the European Union had struggled. But to me, I also was looking at, I didn't include this in our list of articles, but I also saw this post about, to me, like right now where we're at reminds me just a lot of, and we grew up in it. I know we were young, but at least my parents, who had at one point like all right money, like we were like maybe considered lower middle class, because we did own a house, did own like decent land, but granted we lived in the middle of nowhere, but still, like, I knew that not everyone had that privilege. But at the same time, once that 2007, 2008 recession hit and the housing bubble and all that shit hit, we were living paycheck to paycheck. I remember I couldn't do certain things. Like you couldn't do karate anymore, even though I didn't think it was that expensive. Hey, you're not doing it anymore. Or yeah, you can't afford the new uniforms for track or whatever it was, because we can't chip in. Hey, you can't do band or whatever it was. And I'm sure a lot of people who maybe are our age had that, maybe that experience or similar experience. But to me, like, I feel like we're right there. And I know we've been saying it, that in a way I feel like we're already in a recession. It's I think a combination of companies not wanting to admit it, or they really think that they can get out of this post-COVID. Like COVID was crazy. We're getting out of it. We're working hard again. We're blah blah blah. There's all that messaging going around. I think kind of trying to save this, and maybe it will. I don't know. I think for the people who already make the money are going to continue to make money, but the fact that people are getting laid off this much in just these industries, and the fact that I was looking at like housing. Did you know that since 1995, this is the worst housing market in nearly 3 decades in terms of people buying houses? Jesus. 74 million fewer people in the country. Sorry, this is 1995. 74 million. This is from Bloomberg. Sorry, 74 million fewer people in the country, and median home price is about 114,000. It's basically the sales slipped back to the lowest level since 1995, since we were born, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, at something's got to give, and the fact that, of course, there's an election coming up, and I think that's going to be a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I can guarantee you, I'm not trying to make our show too political, but this is our fucking show, and everything's political in my opinion.
I agree.
That I think that we have one side that's hoping that they can survive to November or whatever, to January even, being like, okay, our economy is good enough to get us past the finish line. Because that's most people vote on the economy, on their fucking gas prices, which I think is whatever. And that's why there's always the battle over, can we make the gas prices cheap just for the last end where people are starting to pay attention. That to me is what I think of. I think of like it's like the George Bush, end of George Bush era, where they're like, oh, the economy's not that bad. Oh, actually, well, it's not my problem anymore. That's I feel like is where we're heading. I hope not, for everyone's sanity. I hope not, but I don't know. Just like there's so many flags with like people getting laid off. The only thing I can think of be opposite of this is with the introduction of AI, but also just once some other major companies start laying off, other companies use that as an excuse to be like, well, they're laying off people. Like,
Right.
yeah, we're suffering the same things.
The
Even if that's not
narrative
true.
helps them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's my only, I guess, caveat is that I could be wrong on the we're already in a recession that I've been kind of saying for the last year. But at the very least, what we can see and what is currently happening is the layoffs are continuing and it fucking sucks.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. I agree. On the on some lighter news, this actually tastes okay now. I'm used to it.
You're used to it?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe your taste buds have been, now that they're blue.
Yeah, not that they're coated.
It tastes better.
But, all right. Well, I've been scrolling through that Business Insider thing with all of those headlines. So, on some lighter news now, for real. You know, everything sucks, but hey, at least some
you got through the rough part of the episode where everything's depressing, but back on the good shit.
Some art is still being made despite the shitty world we live in. The upcoming masterpiece Sonic 3 or Sonic the Hedgehog 3. I don't know if it's officially just titled Sonic 3. But yeah, we've been talking about you know, Shadow the Hedgehog and our Timothy Chalamet being ideal, being perfect casting. Apparently, this is just a rumor, and I know like we haven't really seen other corroborative reports on this rumor. But another name being thrown around is Hayden Christensen of Anakin Skywalker fame, and I wish I made this. I wish I made this ahead of time so I could throw it up on screen. That a Facebook meme of this person's not my friend, now this person is my friend. Yeah, I'm throwing Timothy Chalamet out the window.
Oh,
sorry, Hayden Christensen is the perfect casting for this. I wanted to talk about this before, Devin, before this news, being like, hey, Boy in the Heron is really good, and Robert Pattinson, fuck, he would make a great Shadow the Hedgehog. I still think he would. Because he can do voices, you know. But Hayden Christensen is just, and he's just that edgelord dude. You know what I mean? Like he's
at least what his character is. He's portrayed,
and he leans
in the past
into it. He knows that he leans into it. You know, he didn't let it ruin. You know, people's hatred of those movies when he was like a young adult didn't like ruin his life. You know what I mean? He didn't let that get to him, or at least if he did, then he grew past it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, he is the ideal casting for Shadow. I hope it's true.
I think my only thing I'm gonna just to play devil's advocate, because I agree with you, Tim. You know, he's the young kid on the block. Mm-hmm. You know, he's in the dunes. Okay. And in a way, I think if you're marketing this film, you want to see that. We want to see his name on there. No offense to Hayden. I love Hayden. Revenge of the Sith was my first Star Wars movie, and I have a soft spot for that film, even though it's cheesy as hell. That was my first Star Wars movie.
When it came out.
Me and my brother were obsessed with Star Wars. When we saw it in theaters on Christmas Day or whatever it was, we were obsessed. Like my dad even got like a poster of it in our basement because he knew how much we liked that movie. So like, nice. Trust me, I love Hayden. I think he's good. I haven't seen the new Star Wars stuff because I'm kind of on a Disney detox in general.
Same.
But if this is true, and like Ethan said, there hasn't been anyone. This is coming from physical media on Twitter, who I don't think would fake this, but I don't know. He also has a blue check mark, so I don't
It's just
know.
a prompt to talk about at this point whether or not it's happening. And
Yeah.
I have two responses to your the thing you said
I was,
about
but
Timothy.
I was gonna say I need to finish my thought.
Oh,
Original, I'm
sorry.
going back because I went down the wrong avenue here. I'm gonna defend Timothy by saying we know that Timothy's a gamer though, and I think we need to respect our fellow
That's
gamer.
true.
We
When
know,
he showed up at the Game Awards, that's the only celebrity that like has a right to be there. I don't care about the Marvel
Keanu Reeves gets
Karate
a pass.
Man and
Keanu Reeves gets a pass.
was he at the Game Awards last year?
Yeah, because he announced Cyberpunk because he was gonna be in the game. It was at the Game Awards.
No, that was
And
at
remember
E3. That was at E3.
Was that E3? Whatever.
Yeah, that was
Same
at
shit.
Xbox's E3 thing, 2019.
Sorry. But no, but we know that he was doing a YouTube channel before he
That's
hit
right.
the big lights. Okay,
That's right.
Before he hit the stage.
He
before
was a
hit the
niche
sands
gaming
of
YouTuber.
Dune. Yeah,
Um,
he was just like everyone else, you know.
My 2 points. Number one,
Mhm.
we were just talking about business and capitalism. Who do you think is going to be paid more, Hayden or Timothy? I'm guessing Timothy's going to be worth more than Hayden right now, so they
Yeah,
would
they're
probably go
gonna
with
say
cheaper.
that.
But also, let me just put it out this way. Sonic Movie 1 comes out. That first trailer aired a week after our very first episode. We got very lucky with the timing on SEO and stuff like that. And it was a meme-ified mess. The ugly Sonic, as we call him, and they listened to the fans, whether they were nice about it or not. They listened to the fans, and whether the fans were nice about it or not is what I mean. And they course corrected and they made a respectable design for the character, right? They know that audience and they know the general audience, but they know that in order to make now the third film, and they did this with the second film I'll talk about in a second, still be a big blown up thing, is they need the core base to be like, hell yes. The thing that did that for Sonic 2, I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that actually made the hell yes, I can't wait for this movie core base, which then expands to the general base for Sonic Movie 2, was the casting of Idris Elba. Because that is ideally perfect casting. It's slightly goofy. It's also like hell fucking yes. It's a weird, I don't know how to define it in objective terms, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, that's perfect. You know what I mean? That's way more than Jack Black being Bowser. You know what I mean? That's way more than Chris Pratt being Mario. But you know what I mean? It's like hell yes, this is awesome. Twitter blew up when that happened. Twitter will blow up when Hayden Christensen, if he is, gets announced as Shadow. It'll be the same thing. It'll be like hell fucking yes, and I think that is way more than Timothy Chalamet. That's my only I'm not gonna be a hater.
I hear you.
I didn't see the Willy Wonka movie, but
that movie actually was the most successful box office Wonka film. Actually, that's pretty crazy. That's what I'm just saying. I'm just saying the money talks when it comes to Timothy, my boy. I'm just being real. Like, Dune's gonna make bank. I'm gonna be there day one. Okay, on hopefully Dolby. I'll take IMAX if I can get it too. But
no Dolby theaters around me. I can't join you spiritually.
But yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, but honestly, once I saw Hayden, I'm like, fuck, that does slap though. I'll be happy with either. I mean, I still want to be right by saying, like, if Timothy for some reason was Shadow. I know it's more of a meme for us.
We were saying it so early that we were ahead of any trend or curve. Damn, my tongue is so fucking blue whenever I talk. So I'm annoyed now. That's
awesome.
We were ahead of the curve, so I would be okay with him being it because we were ahead of the curve, and that makes us right, and that's all I care about.
And we can get the clip. We'll find it and be like, yep, we said it here first.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see. But no one's reported it yet. I don't know where physical media got this, so like it could easily be bullshit. I tried to dig in to see where I even went to Reddit to see like did it come from there or something, but everyone's talking about them saying it. There was also
that's a cyclical media thing.
There also was, by the way, storyboard leaks and plot leaks, I guess, of Sonic 3 and the Knuckles show. We haven't looked at them, folks.
We have not.
I only seen, because when I was looking up the article for Hayden Christensen, I did see a small thing that there was a location, but it wasn't anything that was mind-blowing to me. I won't share it because I don't think it's that crazy anyway. But it was also storyboard, so it might be storyboards change. Once you're on set, things change. So I'm not. I just
Yeah,
didn't
we're
dive
not
in
going to
deeper.
discuss the leaks for that because we still want to be excited and hype filled about it.
Yeah.
For
So
sure.
if you see or just and if you haven't seen any leaks, good. But if you maybe even see something, just scroll away, close that window, whatever you need to do. Go outside or block that person, whatever you need to do. Uh, if you want to avoid that, and I just want to make sure we're clear that we won't post no
Right.
spoilers on this show.
Right. I just want to. So like I opened up the shadow kind of thing that was tweeted out before. Just opened up full screen here, and awesome fucking design. It just is amazing. But the clapper, you know, I don't. I guess I just don't know. It apparently is being filmed in 48 frames per second. I don't know if that's just a thing that like is always
Oh, I
done
didn't even
because it
notice
makes it
that.
easier. But if they're, and I doubt that this.
Are they saying maybe
I'm
Shadow
sure
is
it's
maybe
just a
being
thing.
recorded in 4?
That would be awesome. I'm sure it's just a thing where it's like, yeah, films are filmed in 8K, but there's never an 8K version. You know, they're filmed in a wider aspect ratio, but it's not actually
Yeah,
released that way.
there's no way they're
It's
gonna do
probably going to
some
be that,
weird.
but if there's a 48 frames per second version of this movie, I will be seeing this film
I
several times because I'm a high frame rate fan when it comes to films. I liked the Hobbit, the one of the three Hobbit movies
I
I
didn't.
saw
I didn't. I'm
in
sorry. I
48.
didn't.
And
I got
also,
dizzy.
I will throw this out there too. Besides the one copy I could find on a certain pirate-filled website of
Pirates of the
Ang
Caribbean.
Lee's
He's talking
film Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk. You can't watch high frame rate versions of films besides in the theater. The Blu-ray format doesn't support it. It supports 24,
about.
30, and 60. No, 24 and yeah, it can support if they do a 60 frames per second, but there can't be a 48. So that Avatar movie that came out 2 years ago, Jesus, that's already been it's
Was it?
already been over a year,
Way of Water
right?
was that long?
Yeah, it was 22. Again, I guess it's 1 year ago, but we're in 2024, so it feels like two. That was in
Yeah.
they did a 48 frames, right? You can't see that on video. There never will be a video version unless they make a new format. You know what I mean?
I don't
And
know. I
stream
saw
it's too
someone
much data
watching
for
it. I
streaming.
saw a kid watching on my flight to Europe.
The
And it
high
looked
frame rate
pretty good.
version.
Yeah, the high frame
Anyway,
rate. Only American Airlines or Iceland Airlines, whatever I took, has
I,
the high
I
frame
just
rate
noticed
version.
this, and this is old. If this has been talked about before by other people that do similar things to us, I just want to point out, like, hey, I just noticed that it probably doesn't mean it. It's probably just hey, we can do a slow mo easier because we can cut in half rate because we filmed at double rate. You know what I mean? I don't know, just a thing.
Yeah, this is by the way, like what we're if that one tweet there, where it's mentioned Hayden Christensen. Yeah, like I like by the way. I mean, obviously this is like the stand-in. We've seen it in the photos we've seen of on set before, where they have like stand-ins, like literally physical statues of the characters. Man, I wonder how much we can get. How much we got to pay to get one of these boys? Any of them. You know what I mean? Whether it be Tails, Knuckles, Sonic, whatever. Like if we hit up Jeff Fowler, like how much
It
money
depends on
would we
how
have
many
to?
it depends on how many that they've made because there's only a few.
Right.
It's going in Paramount's offices. It's going in Jeff Fowler's personal office. We'll have one of them. But if there's a lot of them, because for Sonic 1 they had like a doll type of thing. It wasn't a statue. It was
Yeah.
like a doll type thing. I can see them ruining several of those. Dropping them in mud or
I
whatever.
mean, this one looks
so,
like it's
maybe
been,
they made a bunch.
this
This
one looks
is
like
a
a
statue
statue.
for sure. You can see in between the gloves, like the paint is filling between his
No,
fingers.
and I
but
think I also love the chip on his the chip marks on his like shoes. Like he's been, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
through the ringer a little bit. I love that shit.
I love his inhibitors that he has on. You remember, obviously, the ending of Shadow's episode in Sonic 06, where it looks like he's down for the count, but then he takes off those gold rings around his and it's just like when Goku takes the bracelets off, and all of a sudden it's like, wait,
Yeah.
you've been fighting with the handicap this entire time,
I
We're
always
gonna
think
see
that's
a
so
moment
funny.
like that.
I think it's so funny in that kind of shit because when you think about it, it's like, bro, you're making this way too close. Then, like, just take that off from the beginning and just save the world.
It's
You know what I
an
mean?
oh
Let's get
shit
this over.
moment. It's an oh shit moment.
By the
I've never
way-
seen Naruto really, but that happened in Naruto once too, where a guy took off sandbags around his ankles and they made giant dust clouds.
Dude,
when
it's
they fell
happened
'cause
in
he's just so strong.
so much shit. I mean,
Yeah.
it's always like, he he had to think about it harder, and all of a sudden he unlocks his
Yeah,
true
well,
potential. By the way, I want to mention, because now I'm really looking at this, and obviously this is on a set. You can see that what looks like an old school like computer dashboard in the distance, right? It's like blurry, right? Like I'm thinking like, like in the 80s, like the laboratories, right? They had all the buttons, you know. I wonder if this is whatever scene this is take one of 36B or whatever. I think this is probably where we first see Shadow.
I think so. The underground lab type of
The
thing.
underground lab that was in the end of the second movie.
Question, because we'll eventually do my joke Twitter logos. Oops, pop up. We'll eventually do like a trailer reaction and an analysis on what we think the film is going to be whenever there's a trailer for it. I guess we're gonna have to wait till after the Knuckles show is out, I'm sure, which is crazy. That's got to be around the corner. But do you think?
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think that like there is no Eggman in this film, or do you think it's a secret? Like they're not going to announce Jim Carrey's in it at all because he's in at the very
if
end
he's
because
in it, yeah,
Sonic and Shadow
I
have
have
to
a
team
feeling,
up at some point. Or
I know
something.
I feel like we've had this conversation since it was rumored that Sonic movie 2 was his last movie. And I'm not saying Sonic movie's bad or anything like that, but just like that's an interesting movie for him to like end on.
The highest grossing film he's ever been in. He ended up on top.
Yeah. So,
and I've always said that
he
him coming back for the children that loved him in that film would probably be the only reason he would come back. It wouldn't be for money. He's
my
rich,
thing is,
you know what I mean?
I kind of like if he's in it in any capacity, it's going to be like a cameo situation or a one scene
a teaser
or
at
scene,
the end. Yeah,
something that I still loved our pitch. I think I forget. It was like probably a year and a half ago, or I think it was like a week or two after the movie came out. Our pitch for like what we want Sonic Movie 3 to be. I remember I liked the idea that his mom is actually the one that more evil. Like it's always she's been pulling the strings the whole time, and she's the one who knew Shadow from the beginning, and like, and then Agent Stone knew this at the end. I so love that plot line. They need to hire us, dog. Like we should be on set right now.
They need to hire us so that we just get to watch the film early. That's all I really want,
I want to be on set. Shit.
I want to be Shadow. No. I would just want to be upset so we can steal the Shadow statue. And now Shadow.
Once it all wraps up, you're like, oh, where'd the Shadow? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know.
Now the Shadow statue here is a very stoic,
he's
straight
right
and arrow, unmovable block of an object, and other types of blocks exist in video game films as well, including Minecraft.
Okay.
The Last of Us is next. We'll do the Minecraft one next instead.
Do Minecraft. I was gonna say
the Minecraft movie was announced as a thing that was probably going to happen years ago. It was been on Devin and I have a spreadsheet of every video game movie ever, and
I honestly put it up
that's in
there
like
with
the
Five
red
Nights
of
at
like probably
Freddy's.
not going to happen type of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I put it in the same realm of like, yeah, of course they're working on a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Yeah, right. And then all of a sudden, that one time they're like, oh yeah, here's puppets that we're working on for the movie. And I'm like, what? No.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was out. So
yeah.
So I guess this is the same situation. But yeah, the big casting news here. Our boy Bowser, also many other of our favorite characters, Nacho Libre, Jack Black joins. I also did not realize that Jason Momoa is also in this movie, in Minecraft movie, which has a lot of other actors. Emma Myers from Wednesdays, Color Purple actor Danielle Brooks, and it's filming in New England. It's not New England, New Zealand. Two different places, way different places. New Zealand, opposite ends of the world. Napoleon Dynamite filmmaker Jared Hess is actually. And who also worked on Nacho Libre, so he was like, "Yo, bro, Jack, yo."
And this is a live action film.
I'm working on this Minecraft film. I need you back. Hey, I need you back. We're doing Nacho Libre, but Minecraft. Let's go.
I just I know there was I forget who, but said they don't want to make the 10-year-olds angry and upset at them. They raise their pitchforks or whatever. So I don't think they're going to go the route of the Tetris movie where it's a film about the making of the
it's
thing.
It's going to be
or the
Jumanji.
Circumstances.
I think I've said this before. It's going to be Jumanji. It's going to be
green
right. Screen, just live action people who maybe they cubify them and fuck it, make it Jumanji. Literally,
they will definitely.
I think we said that. Didn't we say that? Make
We
Make
definitely
Jumanji
did.
3 Minecraft. Just
We definitely
combine them.
did. And Jack Black was in those Jumanji movies, so those
So it
those last
works.
two, so it works. But they will definitely make like Minecraft models of these actors. I think they will actually be the actual actors themselves, live action,
You
for the
think?
most
I feel like
part.
that'd be pretty bold.
I think there'll be a gag where they go into those, but like it all depends.
Okay. Yeah, so I think there's no way you have Jason Momoa not be his physical self. And
Right.
like even Jack Black to a degree, because he does do some physical comedy. You know what I mean? That like I think you're right. There will be a scene where
But
they get cubified or whatever you want to call it, Minecraftified.
yeah,
But
I will
like,
just say, a lot of the Minecraft, is an incidentally comedic game. It's got any game that's made of a bunch of systems will inherently have comedic stuff. There was a Twitter clip going around it's been years old. I've seen it so many times of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Guy goes up to talk to a guy and talks about the necromancy being banned by the Mages Guild, and he says bye-bye, and that guy NPC was standing on a rising platform that crushed him into the ceiling. It slowly comes down, and another guard walks up and then says, "May you rest in peace," and then that thing moves up and kills him too. And that's just the way the systems work in that game. It was funny. Minecraft is a very incidentally funny game as well, and a
yeah.
lot of that humor comes from the way characters move and stuff, and the way speed and all this happens within the environment. And I don't know if they can do that with live action actors. So it might be a mix of both. I don't know, because like,
I just think it'd be really funny to make
are
it
they really
clearly
gonna
green
have
screen.
a creeper explode in front of Jack Black and then throw the actor? You know what I mean?
Yeah, why not? That'd be
I don't
awesome.
know.
Have him
Actually,
fly like across the screen. Yeah.
stupid idea. It's a first-person film.
Oh yeah, no way.
Jack
That
Black's
I don't
Jack
like
Black's
those movies,
punching
man. It doesn't
arm
work.
on a tree.
The only way you can do
Uh,
is like the camcorder thing. I
a
can see
found
that maybe.
Minecraft being a
The
found
found
footage
footage.
horror film.
Starring Jason
Who would
Momoa and
have
Jack
the camera?
Black.
Who would have the camera? Because I know Jennifer
Oh, it's
Coolidge
Jack.
was announced.
Jack
Wait,
was
do you want
what's
them on
his name?
screen?
I mean, he will. It's called he flips the camera around.
Oh, fair.
Think about this. Jack Black was what's his name in King Kong. He was a film guy. We it's a reference.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
doing Cloverfield, but make it mine. Oh, where are we? Oh, yo, what the fuck is that? They're swearing in it, by the way. They're pointing at it, and it's the creeper
Exactly.
coming towards them. Like, what is that? Oh shit! And someone's got to die off to like set the tone. Someone's got to get killed off like early. But yeah, have them celebrating a New Year's party or a going away party like they do in Cloverfield, and somehow they get teleported to
April
Minecraft
4th,
world.
2025. So next year we will be watching this film.
You think they can pull the fact that they're just now announcing people? I mean, that's a quick turnaround. Unless I
They're
said, like, unless
filming
it's
now.
a green screen,
I don't
it's a
know.
green screen fest. But
We'll see.
But Jason
But
Momoa
hey,
is working on
The
Fast
Five Nights
11
at
or
Freddy's
whatever.
movies feels like it was announced and then came out within the same 5-month
That's true.
span. So
That's true.
we'll see.
But Borderlands is
Um,
still in the works too.
Oh, God.
And Kung Fu Panda 4, which I saw a poster for, is March 8th. For in
not a
terms of
video game
Jack's
movie.
schedule.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying in terms of Jack's schedule. You know what he's working on.
Wait, Jack Black is in the Borderlands movie?
Yeah.
Oh God. That's a video game movie that we will do an episode on when they do a trailer on that. I have a hate boner for Borderlands, so whatever. Take everything I say with that bias in mind.
You don't have a boner lands?
You can disregard whatever I'm saying. I just find it's within that tech bro NFT type of weird humor type of shit. Like that's just the sphere it lives in. Where like they wanted to have Elon Musk's flamethrower in Borderlands 3, like, whatever. But anyway, fascinating project I would love to hear so much about, because I feel like the movie was
I'm
announced
not gonna
forever
lie.
ago.
Reading this, the
Ugh.
more we pitch our goofy ideas for Minecraft, though, I'm kind of hyped. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie, I'm like, this movie could be. If they really like go into the campiness of everything, like I'm saying, like Spy Kids 3 of like green screen fest, and make it clear that they're not in that world. You know what I mean? Just like buy into that. Like, because with the Jumanji, they still made it look jungle and make it look realistic. I'm saying buy into, like, this is a virtual world, clearly. It's going to look jarring. Just buy in to be like, yep, wow, I can't believe I'm here. And, like, make it, like, You know what I mean? Just make it goofy.
I agree.
Like,
There's only one thing about it. I agree with you. There's only one thing about it. The target audience is under 15. And so their perception of what they find funny is going to be different from us, and they want it to be a success for those people. They don't want the movie to be cringe. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
fuck
I don't
it.
know.
Guess who can actually afford the tickets though? Not the 15-year-olds, baby.
Fair.
Not
It's their
15-year-olds.
parents. It's their parents.
Yeah. So
The whole movie should be presented as a let's play. Welcome to my Minecraft movie.
Jason Momoa's YouTube channel or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
That'd
welcome
be
back
good.
to my studio, to my theater. Welcome.
Or
to
have
another
Jack Black
Minecraft movie.
play himself, finally doing a Let's Play. Because didn't he like announce a YouTube channel where he would do Let's Plays and then never did a Let's Play? And that's
It was
kind of
mostly
the bit.
videos of him going to pinball places and then apologizing for not uploading as often, and that was it. Yeah,
Have him do it. Have his YouTube channel post the full movie. Actually, it doesn't even go.
that
to
would
theaters.
be amazing if that's the only way to watch it at home is on Jack Black's YouTube channel. That would be amazing. That
it's free.
honestly, that would make the movie to be one of the most significant films released in this century because of the
We
way
just
it's
made
being
it
distributed.
for the fans. We just made it for the fans. That's it. There's no profit motive.
But
It's
they would
just
also
straight, we made it
completely
for the
obviously
fans.
get the whole like, hey, Minecraft survived. I don't say survived. It blew up because of YouTube Let's Plays. And to take it
Yeah.
home and make the
take it
official
home.
home release be a YouTube video on Jack Black's, not what production company is this? Whatever production company it is.
Legendary. I think it's
Legendary.
is it
Not on
Legendary?
Legendary's YouTube channel, but Jack Black's own personal one. You know what I mean? Would be very funny. Speaking of taking
awesome.
things home, as I circle back, The Last of Us won some Emmys. They took those Emmys home. That's my.
They did.
The
I think they
thing.
won. Let's see. They won 8 in total, which is a lot. I mean, like even regular.
That's a third of their
I
nominations.
don't want to say regular because that implies that video game movies are bad or whatever. But I know that we kind of joke about that. But no, winning 8 is pretty good.
Yeah.
At the Emmys, and I know they've been nominated for other award shows. I just picked the Emmys because I feel like that's one of the bigger ones. And I looked this up because I was curious. I'm like, off the top of my head, and we've watched a decent amount of video game movies here on this show and reviewed them, and I don't remember any of our ones that we reviewed that were even the quote-unquote better video game movies being nominated, let alone winning anything. So I was like, let me dive into this. Has anyone ever won? Has any video game adaptations won anything? Any like Emmy nominations? And I did find this one article from last July where actually Netflix Arcane, which was an animated show based on a video game, won the Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program in 2023, or 2022 rather. So technically this isn't the first, but it is the first live action, which I think is still important because an animated video game thing I feel like is a little bit, I don't want to say easier to do, but just like you don't have to rely on like we've seen video game like Dead Space is an example, right? Where like it's hand drawn, so you don't have to worry about like finding actors who fit the role or whether it's age or whatnot to fit the role. And you don't have to build sets and all that shit. There's more money involved, I guess I should say. But yeah, this was the first live action video game adaptation, Last of Us, HBO's Last of Us, to earn a major Emmy nomination. And guess what? It didn't just get nominated; it won 8. Like I said, it won 8.
Nominated 24 and won 8 of them. That's a third is really good.
The biggest ones that I think it won, I think is deserving, is prosthetic makeup. Hell yeah. Like the makeup is so good. And that is the work of, what's his name there, who did Chernobyl. I think Chernobyl won awards for its makeup and stuff. And I knew it when they announced that he was working on it. I'm like, yep, I don't even care who, like, even if Druckmann wasn't working on Last of Us, if he was working on it, I'm forgetting his name, so I'm mad I'm forgetting it right now. If he was working on it, I already knew it was going to be decent. Special effects in a season or movie, it won. It won
title
design.
design. I find
Hell
very
yeah.
interesting. Now it explains why. So these shows, because I didn't know that was an award, it explains why these shows pump a lot of money into that shit. And it's also very funny. Very funny. We talk about AI shit when that Marvel show, Secret Wars, Secret Agent, whatever it was called, had AI generative images for that specific thing. Like, gee, imagine if they won an award. How immoral would that be? won that
Yeah.
award. I'm just sorry. It's just a
But no,
point.
the intro is so good. To me, like, I always say this to like make a show a phenomenon. In a way, you need a good intro that is like, oh, I know what that is.
Game of
Like
Thrones
when I
is the
hear it,
famous
I know
one.
what that is. Game of Thrones is the biggest example. People know the dun 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 dun
I
dun.
haven't
Like
even
even if
seen the
you
show. I've been reading the books. I haven't seen the show, but I know the
what it
intro.
sounds, yeah, and
Yeah.
so I always think of that. Like when you hear it, you're like it kind of sets you in the mood for the show, the episode when you're going into it. You're like, oh yes, we're back, baby. Um, but I think the best other big one is outstanding guest actor Nick Offerman as Bill. I know that episode
When that episode
got
aired,
shat
everyone
on by
said that's just going to be the
conservatives.
way it is. People knew right off the bat. Oh yeah, he's going to win. He's going to win an Emmy. People knew that right then and there,
Yeah.
and it happened.
Guest actress in drama series Stormy Reid is Riley Abel. Uh, sound editing, sound mixing for. I always want to know because I watch it on TV. I don't have surround sound, so like I wish I kind of did sometimes because I want to be like, oh yeah, that sound mixing was good. Because like when you have like surround sound or like played in a movie theater, like I always say this, horror movies is the biggest examples. Watching a horror movie at home compared to a movie theater is always different. I don't even care if you have the best setup at home. There's something about seeing a horror movie in the theater when the lights are perfectly dark and it is true surround sound with the big speakers and everything. Because a lot of horror movies rely on like music and sound to create the atmosphere that you're in. And for this kind of show, it is tense and whatnot, so you need good sound to kind of because you can have your actors knocking it out of the park, but if the music is, you know, goofy like I don't know cartoon sound effects happening, like you're like, okay, this isn't serious anymore. You know what I mean? I just use that as an example. But yeah, I mean, all these awards are pretty good. It's
Yeah.
of course it is. In a way, I'm happy for it, but also I'm like, of course, it's Last of Us that gets like the awards. You know what I mean? I kind of wish there was like, I wish Sonic movie got something or like a more goofier like
Oh,
even
these are for
Super
TV
Mario
shows, not
Brothers
movies.
or
So we'll see when the Knuckles show comes out. How many awards they win. Idris Elba's best performance
I meant
ever
more
in
of
his
just like we've
life.
had other stuff come out. You know what I mean? That I'm like Detective. Like I just wish like one of them was nominated for something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once, like just even best animation or something for like Detective Pikachu. The fact that I'm like, of course, the game that is known to be the best story of all time.
Well, we see
Uh,
when the Oscars come out. I don't know. Has Mario been nominated for anything? Have they announced nominations? You know what I mean?
I don't know when the Oscars
It's always in February, I
is.
think.
Let's see. March 10th. So I guess I don't know if they've announced yet. The folks
March
yet.
10th? Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
I
see.
low key have always wanted to like watch the Oscars, but it's on TV.
They're
which
so
sucks.
goddamn
That's-
long.
and they're so long.
They're so
But I've always
long.
wanted, like, you know what, like maybe one time if we had the time and but it was like, because we do the Game Awards, I'm like, it'd be kind of fun to like just do one off, like one of these award shows, but they're always on regular television and I'm sure copyright. So,
Well, I
like,
do want to do the Dice Awards with more video games because to follow our thing of like, hey, the Game Awards, they're not the legitimate awards. It is just because it feels like it is, just because everyone says it is. But there's the Dice Awards, which is actually done by people in the industry. Those are the people that vote. It is closer to the Oscars and the Emmys. So for video games, yeah. But I wish the Oscars and the Emmys were a shorter show. Overall, so that we could do a stream that isn't 6 hours or however long these are.
yeah.
4 hours.
I mean, even the Game Awards, this past one, for whatever reason, dude,
Yeah.
I was drained after that. That, like, especially once the 2 hour mark hit, I was just
It was
like,
also just
dude, I don't-
disappointing for us because we lost completely. Like,
Yeah.
in our predictions, it was like, well.
Well, I think it just didn't help that everything when you get just blasted with ads for 2 hours straight, like unless you're like very different besides, and there was a couple that did stand out, but like it felt like I just got hit with a wave of information, and I don't even remember any of the information now. It's like studying for a test or something, or like you in a subject that you had no idea what it was going to be on, and you're just like, I don't even know. Should I have taken notes? I think next year I'm going to try fucking taking notes to help myself because
Yeah.
I like when we did I know we wound up not even doing an episode because we were like, there's nothing really like mind blowing besides the things we mentioned on the stream.
Which you can find on the Sonic Movie Show's YouTube channel, if you're
Yeah.
curious.
And I think next time, like, I need to take notes because I'm like, I don't know what the fuck what I just saw. I'm like, I don't remember anything in the past 30 minutes. So like,
Yeah. 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 Now imagine if Jeff Keighley ran the Emmys. How many commercials would
They
be
should
in there?
switch one year. Have whoever's. Let's just switch it up. Or we just
Yeah.
do the award show and it just covers everything and it's just 12
Oh,
out, 24-hour long.
including
Everyone has
whenever
to
you
sit
see
there.
all those like
And it's
car
random.
commercials
And
that
it's
show
random.
their awards, like, oh, this car won an award for safety. Those two. They have to drive a
Yeah.
car up
Have
on
them all,
stage to announce,
and
you
they
know.
and they have it all flipped, so it's like they go from video games to cars to movies to I don't know what
That
other
would be
awards would
interesting
be
because you
for.
could, if it's on TV, you can watch the ratings drop and raise depending on what's going on.
Oh shit, they're announcing the new TV show or whatever. You know, they go there and it's like, and now we have a commercial for Fortnite. just fuck it. Make it just
Yeah,
a
yeah,
clusterfuck.
yeah.
Make it a week-long event, and there's no schedule. It's just say, hey, what we just like we pull a thing out of a jar, and they're like, oh, I guess we're announcing best album of the year or something. It's like,
Oh, you just oh my god, my tongue is so fucking blue. You just you just
Compile
completely shuffle everything together and you pull
Yeah.
it out of a hat. That would
Yeah.
be the most chaotically fun thing. Because
so you don't know, so you have to wait there for your moment, but it could be at any time. You have no idea if it's the beginning
Oscars,
or the last one.
the Emmys, the Tonys, and the Grammys is all done by the Academy, right? It's all one. I think
Yeah.
it's all one thing.
I think,
so.
something like
They
that.
could do that with their things, even though they're done at different points in the year.
But we
Just be
combine
like,
them, the Game Awards. I'm sure there's awards for like best books and like we got to get everything in that.
a
we
New
make it
York Times
week-long-
bestseller.
a New York
That's
Times
just a-
bestseller.
That's not
Yeah.
actually an award. That's just like, hey, it was on the list at some point. Yeah. Well,
That'd be
you know
awesome.
what's on your list at home, folks? This playlist of Sonic movie show as my stupid outro segue. Yes, folks, we are on YouTube. I hope you watch this episode there because you could see the many different slides and whatnot we used for our articles. And I'll show you one more time the now empty can of Sonic the Hedgehog Speed Energy Drink, blue raspberry flavored. Half of the can seems to be still tucked to my tongue. Yes, this
Yeah,
was
what
a
if
very
it's
fun
permanent?
episode.
That's why it was sold for so high. You know, it's permanent.
God.
You're
Well, I got
like
one
that
more
one,
that's gonna
like a
stay.
skink. That one lizard that has the blue tongue. Skink? Skink?
You're
Oh,
calling me a
skink, sorry.
skank? Jesus.
There's a
right.
word for it.
There's another word for what we're doing here, and that's follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and the like at Sonic Movie Show. You can see it all the way up there at the top. Follow me on Twitter at Ethan Absolutely. Follow Devin on Twitter at CursonaFun. And especially in the YouTube comments here, because I want to do a little experiment here. Let us know if you think that the Knuckles show will be getting any Emmy nominations, but more importantly, are we going to see? I was trying to think of something quick. My real thing is like, do you think we're actually going to see this Knuckles show trailer or anything like that anytime soon? If this
Super
Sonic
Bowl?
3 is supposed to come out the end
Super
of
Bowl's
this
coming
year,
up, baby.
I
Maybe
guess.
there. I don't know.
Let us know
we
in the
said at
comments
the Game
below what you
Awards,
think.
and that didn't happen.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. My name has been Ethan. Devin is over there. We'll see you next time for another episode. Hopefully,
Of
it's something I'm
something.
thinking of the Sonic Movie
Yeah.
Show. Bye-bye.
Bye.